Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. I'm actually pretty damn excited about this one. Two players that are in ASL. We have Hero here, who is one of the favorites as always, even though he doesn't have a championship yet. The most steady player I think that we've had in ASL over time. And Hero does have a Terran in his group in SOC, who is a very strong Terran, of course. And up here in the top left is Skey, who is kind of one of my little underdog dark horse type guys. I think he can outperform people's expectations. Of course, the first time anyone's in ASL, they get wiped, but I think Skey has some potential. I really like his play. I think a lot of people liked, especially that really battlecruiser heavy game of his Terran vs. Zerg was really, really nice. And Skey has in his group, he has Queen and Radeon. So, that's like his TVZ is very, very important to look at. This will actually, I think, be releasing the same day as his group. So I hope you watch this first. But if you didn't, oh well. I guess you already might know how it goes and how he might be about to play here. I don't. Anyways, yeah. Always excited to see these up-and-coming Terran players play. Now, it's cross-spawn on Radeon. That doesn't mean too much, I feel like. A little bit further to try to pressure each other, so there are builds that are a little bit weaker, like obviously mutas take longer to rally across. Any sort of Zergling rush would be much weaker. I mean, just weak in general anyways. Zergling rushes are just a mix-in. And as far as like Terran builds, like you can't really get across the map to sunken bust the natural. Like it's really, really unlikely. But, sometimes if they take a quick third base, that becomes a reasonable thing to try. Oh, I was like, that's a weird place for a barracks. And it would be. But it's not a barracks. It's a command center. He's going command center first on high ground. Not very common. Wow. Okay, so... All right, it sets everything back by like, what, 50 seconds or so? Something like that? Or no, like... Yeah, about 50 seconds. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't really paying too much attention there for a second, but because I'm like, wow, a command center on high ground as your CC first. The thing is, he would die to a pool first build here. Maybe not over pool, but 9 pool through 4 pool would get up here and kill him too quickly. So like, I'm just trying to think why here and not here. That's what's throwing me a little bit for a loop. Like, I would understand if there was a Zergling tight wall. Sometimes people do that on various maps where they wall in with the command center at the ramp because it makes something that's Zergling tight. And then even if they get Zergling rush, they have a very good chance of holding it. But here it's like, maybe he just wanted it not scouted or something like that. I could see that possibly being the case. Like the Overlord won't be able to figure out where he is right away, that type of thing. That's the only thing that really comes to mind. Okay, yeah, I guess I don't have a whole lot else to go with there. So he's gonna go ahead and just send his SCV cross. Like, I think hiding his position was part of that, the more I'm thinking about this, right? Because he didn't scout. He just kind of like sits with everything in his main base. Normally Zerg kind of figures out where you are. Like sometimes their drone will run into your SCV or something, but like, or run into your base, sorry. But what happens is they run into your SCV, and there's really only like 2 scout timings for Terran. One with like a Marine Rush, which is pretty close to the other one, which is, just like a 12 scout. Like that's just when Terrans scout against Zerg. So anyways, like him just kind of hiding in his main base, I feel like that was part of it. But okay, I'm talking too much about that. I know it's really interesting to see something like that from a top tier guy where it's like, we never really see that. Okay, what does this mean? What is he trying to do with this? Anyways, you can see command center first is an unbelievably strong build if you get it off. Obviously, it's stronger if it starts down here because you lose about 1 SCV plus some mining time floating it. The production cycle of that SCV is a better way to put it. Third base coming up for Hero. You can see he's got like... Dude, look at this. Okay, so if you go expansion 2 racks Academy Rush, this is the timing that you'll have all this. But he has all this with way more SCVs. That's the good way to show you just how strong this type of build is. So, like, Skey is in great shape right now. He's in fantastic shape right now with this command center first. Okay, Muta's on the way. +1 attack here for Hero as well. If Skey makes a beeline to this hatchery, I think there's a decent chance that he can just force a cancel on it or possibly kill it. But he doesn't know it's there. So he's kind of moving cross map, and he kind of knows that his timing's gone. He does send a Marine to the top right. It seems like he thinks that the expansion might be up there as opposed to down here. That, in a way, I feel like would make more sense to expand up here. This is such a straight line down to attack, whereas here you're going around a lot of things. So there's just like more likely to be like some overlords here, and the mutas can come up from these different angles to hit your army. Whereas the mutas would have to be behind your army to use these terrains against you. So like, it makes sense in a way that he thinks that Hero should be in the top right, not the bottom left with his expansion. Okay. Sorry, a little bit too theoretic analysis heavy this game. So the Mutalist clump is here. He's got 7 now, and that's where the real harassment can begin. Brings up a few lings as well. I know it's only 3 barracks, but it's going to be like... I don't think Hero's going to be able to bully Skey just because Skey got everything so quickly here. And you can see his factory's on very good time as well. He's produced a lot of Marines and medics, like 35 SCVs right now with his factory going. Everything looks nice for him. He does have a few turrets that have gone up as well. Oh, I kind of like that turret placement, actually. I'm going to have to consider stealing that one. Yeah, I mean, this is just the back and forth that you see a lot of the time with this Marine medic versus Muta. And you can see the Mutas kind of flying around looking for their angle. Looking for the Marines to be sticking out. Ooh. This guy actually had slightly better trade there than I thought he would. Taking a bit of damage there is Hero. Skey's doing a very good job at repositioning his Marines. You know, this is something I try to continually explain in these casts. You're trying to make a flat line against the mutas so everything shoots at the same time, and they're looking for anything sticking out. So you can see as things stick out, Hero tries to go in, and then Skey will pull back and try to line them up again. Like, there's a lot of micro in both sides. A lot of active and reactive micro. It's mostly, like, the mutas choose the first move, and then the Marines choose a move, and it's kind of like back and forth a little bit. As any great battle is. And see, like, that's the right time to take a shot, but he actually didn't get all his mutas to shoot. It seems like they weren't quite stacked enough. But yeah, he's looking for these moments where there's stuff sticking out. See? See that? Only a few Marines were in the range there. And eventually he just dives on everything. And he does have his +1 now as well. That is a very good pickoff. He doesn't quite get... Oh, he actually gets one of the last 2 medics. Okay, so that actually turned even better. That's one of the ways you can actually judge how well the Zerg is doing. If they get the medics that are in the group, because that's like kind of the thing is when they fully engage the group, it makes it much easier to send your reinforcements because they aren't going to just pick off the reinforcements on the way. And it's also like a sign where like, okay, I need these reinforcements to make sure I'm not losing everything. Because if you lose every medic, that sucks. The medics are a long-term unit that you want to gain a lot of value from over time, even though they're not that expensive. It's like, it's okay to lose medics. It's just like you don't want to. you want every ounce of gas you can get in this early game. So right now, science facility on the way, double starport, eBay. Let's take a look at Hero's base. He has a hive coming up. He has carapace. Still microing heavily here. Yeah, Hydralis Den down at the 3rd base. That's the last thing we needed to check there, just to make sure it wasn't something like Crazy Zerg coming out. Although it just the hive, like the carapace would be too late for Crazy Zerg here. You would need to start that like with the spire basically. Okay, Skey's army is pretty darn big, pretty darn scary. He has a radiate on the way. He's moving out. He just scanned here, and he'll see that there are at least one lurker morphing. That egg was a little bit too far from the hatchery. Sometimes people morph it right next to the hatchery so that if you don't click on it, you might not realize that it's a lurker egg. But yeah, when you scan something like that, you're like, oh, that's a lurker. Okay. So a ton of bio coming out. He actually has potential to bust here before the 3rd lurker is out. if he sends his entire army, there is real potential. And you can see he's making like more lurkers. He's getting 2 more hydras. He's making another lurker. Here we go. He's going to get 3 burrow there. 3 is where it becomes a little bit risky. Like without the mutas, he could break 3 with this group. But when you add the mutas in, it might get dirty. And when you stack them, it's hard to tell how many are there. Only 2 over here, but there is a Nidus coming up, so he'll connect the 2 bases. Yeah, he's at... Okay, he was looking... He might think there's only 2 lurkers there. So he might attack, but there's 3. Okay, so it's like, you could or you could not. It's really... It could go either way here. I think he'll try it for sure. He's setting up for it. Here we go. Oh my god, he's just gonna break him. He's just gonna break him. GG. Well, there's a sunken bust. Okay. Well, I have actually a lot of thoughts here. So I want to just talk for a moment, okay? First off, Hero was a little light on the defense. He had no sunkens ready. A lot of times what you'll see is there'll be a sunken and they'll put lurkers next to it, and the sunken like absorbs damage, the AI of the Marines. Like if there's only lurkers, you can kind of just spread your Marines and they're all going to be shooting lurkers because you want the lurkers picked off first. So the sunken absorbing damage is very, very helpful. So he was a little greedy on that. He was a little slow on the lurker count. I felt like maybe he was... The thing is, he was against Command Center First, which is, you know, Command Center First is really, really strong. The other main thing I want to talk about here, and this is making me love Skey even more. Look at how fast of an energy upgrade he is getting for science vessels. This is some new Terran stuff. You know, only a few years ago, I was talking with Scan about this, where, like, people started to realize that this is an unbelievably good upgrade a few years ago. I think it's actually massively underrated right now. Like, a lot of pros still don't get it, but some of the younger guys do. Some of the newer guys. Like, I feel like you don't see the older Terrans get this as often. But this is a very, very strong upgrade. The thing is, it's 150, 150, okay? And he's, like, you want to make sure you have your vessels going nonstop. You want to make sure you have your double engineering base. So it can be hard to fit it in early, but it makes a huge difference on the amount of irradiates that you're going to be able to get. It gives you more starting energy, and it lets you hold more energy. The hold more energy normally doesn't come into play until pretty late game if you have a ton of vessels. But starting with more energy definitely helps. And as you get a big cloud of vessels, man, you will find yourself just having so many irradiates, it's hard to even cast them. So I love to see that, especially since he already has his double eBay going and he's producing everything. He mixed in 2 dropships. I think that's how he did this. I think that he went like vessel, dropship, energy upgrade. Because I was like, this... When I saw this, I'm like, okay, I get this basically every game, but you normally can't get it this early. So it seems like that actually makes perfect sense now that I'm thinking about it. When you make your first 2 dropships, just get it. Because your gas income is steady. It doesn't matter how many SCVs you have. Your gas income's always steady, so it's much easier to plan out gas. So like you have your 2 eBays going. When you start dropships, start. I bet you that'll become standard. It's like there's little like I don't know what to call them, rules, I guess, guidelines to go with. You know, and I'm sure that this exists in every matchup with every race. Right? Let me just name a few to make this clear. Okay, so like in Terran versus Protoss, when you start your armory, start your sinking gas. That's just like, if you're trying to get better with Terran and you get confused, like, oh, when should I start my sinking gas? I always find myself with not enough gas or too much gas. When you start your armory, start your sinking gas. Bam. There you go. Okay. Another one would be 1 add-on per gas, because that kind of balances your gas really well, so you can get upgrades as well as produce siege tanks. Okay. So there's a lot of little rules like that exist. And this feels like something that could be a rule as well, where it's like, oh, did you make dropships instead of vessels one time? Well, they cost 100 gas. They cost 225. That gives you a surplus of 250 extra gas. You can fit this. Holy crap. That's super cool. That is super cool. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this little nerd out session, at least a little bit. I'm surprised if you're still here and you haven't clicked off. Thank you. All right, we'll see you next time, guys. GG.